simultánea ubicados en las escaleras de mi lado izquierdo. Deben dejar un documento de identidad, el cual se les regresará al finalizar la conferencia. Siendo así, quiero darle la bienvenida a Mark Boloten, uno de nuestros top speakers internacionales que llegó desde Canadá a compartir con todos nosotros su conocimiento. Mark nos hablará de Latinoamérica al mundo, cómo tu marca puede conquistar mercados internacionales, from Latin America to the world, how to conquer international markets. Recibamos con un fuerte aplauso a nuestro conferencista.
Thank you, everybody. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for attending. I'd like to thank everyone at Colombiatex and Colombia Moda for welcoming me here. I couldn't be more honored and excited. The hospitality that everyone has showed me has been just mostly over the top to me. So I very much appreciate it. And let's get rolling. So, that handsome young man, that's me. I'll give you a little background of myself and what we do and what I've done in the past. So maybe I'll get you the Spanish version of mine. I co-founded a company. Is that better? Better go, okay. Sorry, everybody. My company is called FNAD. And what FNAD does is we help clothing brands, footwear brands, jewelry brands, lifestyle brands, accessory brands to expand their global wholesale footprint. I'll get into the intricacies of how that's done throughout the seminar, but also a little bit of a background about me. I was a multi-brand fashion agency owner along with my wife and my team for over 30 years. So we have launched countless clothing and fashion brands in the North American market for many years. I really feel that I have a very a close and intimate sense of what the relationship looks like between a clothing brand, a fashion brand, whatever that looks like. It could be athletic wear, it could be jewelry, it could be dresses, and how to get that through the process of wholesale to the end user. So I'll start giving you some of the background presently. So today we're going to talk about three specific topics. I think the way to simplify the wholesale trajectory and how to navigate wholesale for your brand, there's three specific pillars, and these three pillars must be focused upon all through the journey. It's quite simplistic, but it is basically the one is selling your product, shipping your product, and getting paid for your product. I know it sounds a little elementary, and I apologize, but those three pillars, if one of them crumbles or falters, the other two do as well, and business becomes very challenging. So today we're going to look at key preparations for global success, strategies for growth in international markets, and practical takeaways for implementation immediately. I hope that I can give you as much information that to impart to you to implement into your businesses presently. So let's get rolling. At FNAD, we say this phrase quite often. Success in wholesale is not about products. It's about building sustainable relationships and delivering consistent value. The word in that phrase that really jumps out and I emphasize is consistency. Consistency on everything you do. Consistency in your communication platforms, consistency in your shipping cadence, consistency in what you're saying to the world and what you're designing and what you're putting out there. It's very, very important. It must almost become muscle memory to brands to be able to really be able to scale and grow your business. Consistency is key. When inconsistency seeps in, it becomes very uncomfortable for your chain and also your end user, who's expecting something from you at all times. Understanding wholesale. Please let me apologize. I'm going to be quite elementary at this phase, and I always emphasize that I think it's really important to be as general as possible, because I don't know where, excuse me, everybody is in their journey in wholesale or what they're doing. So I'm going to explain things that maybe a lot of you already know. But that being said, I'll get a little deeper into most of these topics down the road. But the definition of wholesale is quite simplistic. It's the business of selling products, the business of producing products and selling them to retailers who then sell them to the end user. So it is a chain. And who are the players? Who are the stakeholders in this chain? Well, number one is the brand, obviously. That is going to be the nucleus of how the business grows. And the next stakeholder is going to be an agency or a distribution partner, and they will be the ones who present your product, excuse me, to the end user, the consumer. An agent and a distribution partner is a very different business platform. So I won't get too detailed into it today, but it's on a simplistic explanation. An agent works on commission. So basically, we eat what we kill. In some geographical territories, there is a monthly fee, excuse me, that an agent will ask. But for the most part, it is a commission-based partnership. Distributorships are a very different business model. The distributor will buy the product directly from the brand. Normally at a discounted rate of between 30 and 35% off your wholesale price, which means that your margins, excuse me for that, your margins will become smaller, but the workload becomes smaller because you have only one point of communication and one customer to deal with. That's your distributor. So those are the players involved in the wholesale formation. The benefits of the wholesale business is, one, obviously, is the volume of sales, and that is what all business people strive for, right? It's, football strikers, their goal is to score as many goals as they can. Business people, their goal is to build their businesses bigger every day. They go to bed every night thinking, how can I get bigger the next day? So wholesale is a very good route to building that business, and being able to combine potentially the online business with the wholesale business is a fantastic way of doing that. Market penetration and brand visibility are very important, and I emphasize all the time to our brand partners that there is truly a nice balance between the wholesale business and your online business, and they should really reflect each other. They should work upon each other. So you can have a blend of margin, and I'm going to talk about margin a lot today, and at the end of the day, the fashion business it's a business. So margin is key, profitability is key. So you have to really understand where your margins are coming from and how to blend them to be a maintained margin at the end of the day. So we really love this wholesale and online direct-to-consumer blend. There's nothing better than when your product is noticed in a bricks and mortar store, whether it's a department store, a multi-brand store. That end consumer sees it, it gives it validity that is a brand. I love it, I see it, it's on a hanger, I can feel it, I can try it on. It's very tangible, that relationship. Being noticed online is a very opaque journey, and it's a very expensive journey. Post-COVID, the expense of putting your product online and fighting with your competition is frustrating and very exciting. The bricks and mortar visibility is quite simplistic, and it's very, very effective. And moreover, if a person buys your product at wholesale at a store, wears it out, likes it, the fit's nice, fabric's beautiful, they go for dinner, they get a compliment, that's a great sweater you're wearing tonight. That is connectivity that's impossible to get online. That end user, that consumer will then go, I like this brand, there's something about it, I'm very comfortable in it. What are they going to do next? They're not going to go back to the store. They're going to go to your website, because the website has more SKUs and more colors than any store could ever have. You've converted that customer into an online customer, a higher margin customer, and a more loyal customer. So it is a foil, and it works very, very well together. Brand readiness. Well, louder, I can do that. I will speak louder. Brand readiness, I think that is, there's so many checklist points that can be taken for brand readiness for wholesale. But one that we emphasize greatly at FNAD is really to have a direct message, a distinct message, a true message that doesn't deviate at all. So that messaging goes on very many platforms. It can be on your hang tag, it could be on your label, it can be on your website, it can be on your social, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to emphasize that the message needs to stay in its lane, because you want to be something to somebody. You can't be something to everybody as a brand. It's very, very difficult. So understand what your story is telling. If it's sustainability, if it's luxury, if it's technicality, whatever that looks like, focus and tell that story wherever you can. Because as a wholesale, as your agent and distributor, I will tell that story. And then the end user will understand that story, and the one that will find you is the one that resonates best to that story. Use professional materials at all times. I always profess I'd rather have less assets, but higher quality assets, than have more assets that are poor and not well received. The assets I'm talking about can be lookbooks, line sheets, it can be hang tags, it can be your social, it can be your website. All those things tell your story. Sales is theater, and I am the actor, but the assets that my brands give me, that's the stage and the setting, and I need that very badly. The assets that you give and you show to the public are the perception you get back. So less assets. Assets can be very expensive and difficult to put together. So my advice is always high quality assets will reflect very well on the message you're sending. Production capability, that is, I hope, everyone's problem, because that means your business is growing. But you need to grow with it. There's nothing more frustrating for the chain of wholesale when the manufacturing can't keep up with demand. It's that middle pillar, it's shipping, and if it falters, the whole thing falls together. So be very in tune with what your brand is doing. Be in tune with your agencies. Be in tune with your distributors. Be in tune with your website. See what's selling. See what's trending. See what fabrics you have to buy. Talk to your factories all the time. Tell them what's coming. This is trending. This is not. This is what I'm going to need. This is what... And as the business grows, you can start to renegotiate or even change into factories that may have higher quality or different price strategies. Just keep an eye on that. It's very, very important. And then the pricing strategy is something that we work on very closely with our brands at FNAD. I'm going to get back to that word margin. We work on margins for all of our customers, and margin is key. Margin for the retailer, so the retail wants to have margin, obviously, because that's the key to how they keep their lights on in their store. But you want to have margin as a brand, as a manufacturer, and understanding where your margin comes from. I'll go into pricing strategy a little bit more in the marketing side, but if you know, I always say this, and my co-founder, Jan Brabbers, his mother would tell him this, and Jan worked with his mother for many years. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. So keep a very keen eye on those margins. Preparing for international markets. You know, at one time, research was very opaque. You had to almost like go to these markets to see what everything was all about, understand what the retailers were, what the landscape was like, who your competitors were. That's over. There's so much information that you can attain via so many different tools, whether it's fashion councils, artificial intelligence, talking to people, studying your competition, understanding how they're doing in their markets. Researching new markets is very key to entering new markets, because if you're not comfortable, you don't have the tools To enter these new markets, you may get a little frustrated and business will slow and it will be too expensive. So be very, very educated about the market itself. Studying your competition is, again, another layer of understanding those markets. You know who your competition is in other markets. See what they're doing in that market. See if they're successful. What is their pricing strategy? Who are the retailers that they're hanging in? What are the like brands that they're hanging next to? Know what you're getting yourself into. Not all markets are for every brand. Choose the ones that are going to best reflect your brand by research, understanding, and FNAD. That's what we do on a daily basis. So we're always analyzing markets for our brand partners to make sure that we're entering markets, and we like to say low-hanging fruit, where you're going to be doing business and you're going to be successful. Every different market has different legal and logistical challenges, and again, that's knowledge is power. It's very important. Know what the intricacies of each market look like. Understand their rules, their regulations, because there's nothing more frustrating than making a mistake and shipping. For instance, in Canada, where I'm from, everything has to be bilingual. It has to be French and English. If you don't know that regulation and you ship without the French language represented on the garments, your product will be taken off the floor by regulators, and it's happened before, and there's nothing more frustrating. So everyone has to know the rules and the legal ramifications and all the legal details prior to getting into new markets. They're there for you. Fashion councils have them. Sometimes your factory is already shipping into that region, and they know the rules. Get all the information you can, and logistics is the same. There's so many fantastic logistics partners. There's so many ways to move product around the world. There's some incredible companies, and there's also some not so incredible companies. We like to focus on sustainability. That's what we look for. So we really try and go with those logistics partners, but do your homework and make sure they're the right ones for you. There are third-party warehouses built all over the world. Some are very effective and some are not. Again, do your homework before you enter into any of these agreements to know that they're sufficient and efficient and going to do the job that you need them to do. Relationships are key, and at FNAD we use a lot of technology, and a lot of it sometimes goes over my head. But I know we need it to be effective, and we need the technology and the tools that are on offer to us to be effective for our brand partners. But at the same time, I always maintain that we're lucky enough to be in a business that product and people are key. And the relationships are so important. So, for instance, a good example is when a brand comes to my agency. Why do they come to my agency? Why would they approach me? Because they know that I have the relationships in place, I have the contacts in my territory, that I will get them at least a presentation to the people they want to show their product. I can't promise orders. I'd like to, but I can't. But at least the relationships that I've built over 30 years of doing business is worth something. Our world is filled with relationships. This room is filled with relationships. Network, meet people, come to places like this and learn and talk and ask questions. It's the best. And it's all open to you. So surround yourself with people that are like-minded and really form those relationships, because the better they are, the better your company's going to be. Engaging with local representation is very important, because you can't know the intricacies of every single territory in the world. But local representation, they do this every day. They eat, sleep, and breathe that territory. They know it, they understand it, they navigate it every day. Take feedback from them. Talk to them about their territories. Learn from them. Allow them to navigate, because that relationship, for instance, in wholesale, of course, it's the brand and the sales agency and the distributor. They're only going to do what's best for the brand, because at the end of the day, the more they sell, the more commission they make, and it's capitalism, and that's how people make money. So be in tune and be open to suggestions, because local territories have different intricacies. Some of them, there's some territories that an agent will say, you need to go to this trade show because it's so important to business. And then the next territory will say, we don't really do trade shows, we have micro-influencers that do a great job. And the next one's going to say something else. So Be open. Don't be rigid. Listen. You don't have to say yes to every suggestion. You can't. But be open to the specific opportunities by territory, by region, because they will really help you penetrate more quickly. So one of the things that we really sort of focus upon is to have one specific set of rules set up for global wholesale expansion. I know I'm talking about by territory and be open and all those things, but as a brand, you make the rules. The rules need to be followed. If you're making your rules that you can live by, and you have 10 agencies and they're going to make up their own rules, and you have to abide by that, business will not grow. You need to make the rules that make sense for your business, and then have your team adjust and adapt to your rules and be firm. You can listen to all these territorial intricacies and say, yes, I'll do that, but specific to the rules. This is when you're getting your samples. This is when I need my orders. This is what I need in between. This is the pricing strategy. This is your commission. This is when it's arriving. All these things need to be static. Otherwise, if they're all over, it'll be too disjointed and you will never get anything done. Tools of expansion. We believe greatly in trade show participation. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It's not just physically coming and writing orders. You get to see a lot of your competition all under one roof. It's great. You get to learn so much of what your competition's doing. You're able to really walk and see how they're displaying their products, what colors they're using, whose booth is busy, whose booth is not busy. It's a great information gathering time, and it's a great way to network and meet other people. Also, of course, it's a place to write business because it's an investment. I always recommend that if you're going to come to a fashion fair, that you should have local representation, because they're going to bring customers into your stand and they will write orders and you will be exposed to them and you'll learn from them. To go to a fashion fair without local representation can be a little frustrating, and it's a little slower build. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but if you can put that piece of the puzzle in prior, it really, really works very well. For instance, I'm going to Project Las Vegas next week, and a lot of my suppliers have stands at Project, and we will bring our Canadian customers there and write orders with them. It's so convenient, and they get to meet the principal of the company, and it's really, really works well. Consistent and appealing digital. Well, I think I touched on that prior, but again, I'll emphasize that the story you tell and the people who you're trying to tell it to are going to gravitate towards your brand. Be consistent. I'm sure you've all followed brands that have a very consistent, focused story they tell all the time, and you resonate towards it, and you go back and you want to hear more of that story. And then you also have brands that you follow and they're all over the place and it's very disorganized, and it doesn't tell the story and it doesn't make you want to return back and be loyal to them. Loyalty comes from consistently telling the same story. Let people get used to what you're offering. They will love it. Again, you can't be everything to everybody, but the people that love your story will come back and you'll build a very strong base. Teamwork is key. I'm one to always admit that when I surround myself with smart people or smarter people, then it makes me look very, very smart. I can't know everything. I rely on my team constantly. I need to surround myself with people that are rowing in the right direction. If one of the oars is not rowing in the right direction, the boat hits the bank. I'll give you a very good example. I'll give you a good example. I have a supplier in my agency that I've worked with for, I know this is a really weird number, but over 30 years with this brand. We become almost family. I knew them before I was married, and now my kids are in the working world, and I still sell this product. And they were lucky enough to sell their company to a very big US company, and I was very happy for them, but they're not the type of people that were going to do nothing and they wanted to come back and do this again. They're a couple, not married any longer, but they were. And the Suzanne, who was the driving force in the company as far as a lot of things, she's one of my mentors in business. She said, if I'm going to come back, I'm going to do it on my own terms. The terms were, I want to get up in the morning and I want to surround myself with people that I'm looking forward to see every single day. I want to go to a place of work that I'm proud of and I'm comfortable. And I want to only develop product that I'm proud of. Not everyone has those opportunities to say those words, but I think the first one really rings with me. If you're going to work with people, enjoy them, feed off each other, be rowing in the right direction. That's what's going to make your company incredible. So please choose the right team. Hire slowly, fire quickly. I know it's an old cliche, but it is very true. Strategically for global scaling. Okay. Identifying the right partners, I think I went into that a little bit, but I'll go a little bit more in depth. There's a lot of information out there for you to identify who the right partners are. Whether it's an agency, whether it's a distributor, your wholesale partner. Again, that's what we do at FNAD. Who's your retail partner? And we like to work backwards. This is a kind of sometimes a weird way of working, and people get a little confused by it, but I believe in it strongly. Work backwards. Who is your customer? What do they do? Where do they eat? What car do they drive? Where do they go to see movies? What do they love? What music do they listen to? Who is your end user? Okay, we identified that person. They're the ones that you want to expose your clothing to, or whatever brand, whatever that looks like. Okay, where do they shop? What stores do they go to? And you can find that out. Social media is an amazing tool. You can find out a lot about them. What other brands are in that store? Who do you want to hang next to? Who's your competition? And then moreover, who is servicing those stores? Who are the agents and distributors that are servicing those stores? All that information is free for you to gather. Once you figure that out, then you can start finding the right partners who are going to resonate to that whole chain to get to that end user. If a brand wants to sell in the UK and their dream is to sell Selfridges, don't hire a sales agent that doesn't have any connections in that building, because you're wasting your time. Know where you want to be, know who you want to be with, and then find the people that are going to get you there. I think if you would ask the team at FNAD, they would tell you that I say these two phrases probably far too often. One is one step at a time. You can't conquer the world all at once. It's impossible. One step. Make that step, be comfortable with it, make it work. Make your mistakes, fix them, learn, make it work again, and then take the next step. Taking too many steps too quickly, you falter. And then the steps you took in the past, they falter as well. Be patient. It's all going to work out with the right data and the right patience and the right vision. And the next one is plant trees and not flowers. We're in a seasonal business. Flowers die every season. Trees, they last forever. Plant those trees. Get those roots in the ground. Have patience. Make sure you're planning for the future. Do all the things that I'm telling you and more to make sure that that tree can absorb whatever storm's coming. Make it grow and make it last. And now this is an interesting thing, and I talk about communications, and I do get back to consistency again, because, again, we're a seasonal business, and continuity in between seasons is so important for brands. Your competition's there. It used to be, and I will admit it, that you'd probably see your customers twice or three times a year. They'd come to the showroom, or they'd come to a fashion fair, they'd write the order, not much communication in between, and then you'd see them at the next fair. How did you do with the collection? I did really well. I didn't do well, but that's on me. That's on me to make them do well. So now I focus in between seasons all the time. What can I do? Okay, I'm finished selling. The product's now delivered to the stores. I need to be there. My team needs to be there. They need to merchandise. They need to teach the sales people and in the store what makes my brand better than my competition. Why are we here? we need to do events, we need to do, it's interactive selling. It's on me, because when they come back to the showroom the next season, I want them to say, we had an amazing season, I need to buy more. It is capitalism, but there's a way to get those things to happen. There's no more like off season and go golfing, and it just doesn't exist. Our partners on retail level, on the wholesale level, they're engaged 12 months a year to drive the business every single day. Really, really important. So what do we do? At FNAD, we do a lot of the things that I just told you and more. So we prepare the brand clarity, we help with the messaging, we really are very intrinsic and detail-oriented about getting the message very focused. We do the market research. We're fortunate enough to have offices all around the world, and we have team members all around the world, and we have all on-time data in all markets. It's one of our superpowers. Mentorship training, not all of our brands need any mentorship training. We work with many brands that really don't need us at all for mentorship. They're doing great business. They just need us to tinker and find them new territories. But we do have that on offer for emerging brands or brands that need a little bit more information about specific territories. We do a lot of mentorship, and we're very proud of it. And our core business is introducing our brands to the right partners and the territories that they're chosen to enter into for long-term success. The world is your market. I do say this quite often. With the right preparation and partnerships, emphasis on partnerships, your brand can thrive globally. I think that's something that everyone should really strive to do, and I hit on relationships and I hit on consistency, those two words you've heard a lot. So thank you for coming and listening to me. I'm sorry I'm not speaking in your language. Maybe next time I'll be better and I'll give it a try, but I hope I was able to get the message across, and if anybody has any questions, please. And I'm here until Thursday, so I would love to learn from you about your markets. That I'm so looking forward to that. So if someone wants to get in touch with me, I know the team here would be able to contact me. I would love to learn more and be more specific with my conversations. But if anyone has any questions now, I'm open. Thank you. Thank you.
Lau, what is your opinion for smaller brands to start internationally with marketplaces?
I think marketplaces are a very good way to get started. It's one of the factors. The marketplace strategy is you need to have your logistics very well set up, because you need to react as the orders come in. The marketplace is a great way for exposure. I wouldn't rely on the marketplace forever. I think that once the brand starts to get some traction, then you should be talking to your marketplace and say, I'd like to have more exposure potential in your store. But I think it's a very good way, as long as you are comfortable in being able to logistically make sure that when the sales come in, they're able to go out in an efficient manner and a profitable manner. So watch the costs, but I certainly think it's a platform that can be quite profitable.
¿Alguien más que quiera hacer una pregunta? Yo se la traduzco, no tienen que sufrir.
Hi, thank you so much for this. And how do you break the ice or that barrier of entrance into a new country? Let's say you're going to a new market, you really don't have any friends there, but the metrics are good. So you are encouraged by this to go in and open the market. And what would be your starting point? Do you go to a fair, online platforms? What would be your first option?
It's a good question, and there are many different strategies depending on each different country. I think, as I said, research is key. The fashion fair investment can be very steep and may not get you what you want. I believe that engaging with potentially at the beginning with some local representation that understand the market, or at least beginning a dialogue to get you the gauge. Because sometimes the metrics can be skewed. So you want to be very sure before you make that investment. So I think I would love to have a specific story to tell you, but I think each and every territory has a little bit of a different way of entering. But I would certainly, because in the fashion industry, we're one big family. And you've shown me that in my 2 days here. Everyone's just been so friendly and nice, and I go to shake your hand and you hug me. I think that the Colombian trait is so nice. So, so you have an asset, you have a brand, and I think first step would be contact local representation. They'll be happy to talk to you. They may be a partner 10 years down the road or 2 or that day, but they'll tell you what they think. They'll be open with their thoughts because they're there. They do this every day. Would my brand work in your territory? They'll give you good and bad their thoughts, and then from there you can make the decisions. I think to be able to be comfortable in entering a new territory, I say walk before you run, understand, get as much knowledge as you can, and then slowly start to talk to people to understand what's going to be the best for that territory. I mean, that's what we do at FNAD. There's many brands that interact with us, that come to us, that we don't interact with because we don't feel that the investment with our company at the moment will benefit them. There's some work to be done prior. Sorry, it's a long answer. So, no, I'm going to one more. At the agency, we have gotten many brands, local Canadian designers that have come into the showroom, and the product's beautiful, but they don't have any customers, and they really don't have a lot of experience in wholesale. I say to them, I would love to take you on in the agency, but you're not ready. What you need, you know who your best salesman is? It's you. You are the passion behind this brand. Go and meet retailers. They'll be open to you. They'll love to hear your story. Get a little bit of work under your belt. Get the relationship with a couple of stores going, or if it's a marketplace, or if it's an online store. And then from there, the dialogue begins, and then you'll be ready, and you have at least some experience as to what you're going to get, and then you have a better opportunity to really engage with local representation and move forward.
Nos queda tiempo para una pregunta más. ¿Alguien más quiere hacer una pregunta?
You're getting your exercise.
Thank you. What is a good knowledge-based or research where we can learn more about pricing and margins?
So that's a very good. I mean, we do that ourselves. I would engage with. There are some fashion councils that would have that information for you in different territories. There are a lot of online information that you could certainly receive. Artificial intelligence, believe it or not, there's amazing information there that can give you at least a template of what the margins look like for a manufacturer, what a retail margin should look like. It'll give you a good overview of what the strategy should be, and then you can incorporate them internally. Just to give you, a brand should be able to make between 35 and 40% margin. That's not all profit, that's margin. And a retail partner would want anywhere between 55 to 65% margin from retail down to wholesale. That is a good template. Some are different. volume department stores, they're going to want more margin. Multi-brand independent stores, they don't need that much margin. They don't demand that much margin. But as a brand, you need to choose your point, understand your costings, understand what margin is going to be able to pay your bills, keep your lights on, put some money in your pocket. So that should be focused upon individually, but that's kind of the rule of thumb.
Yes, Mark, is it okay if people can approach you afterwards because we need to continue with the programming?
No, I want to stay here.
You want to stay there? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A nuestro speaker que vino especialmente desde Canadá a compartir su conocimiento con todos nosotros, muchas gracias por esta conferencia. Quiero recordarles que pueden hacer la devolución de los equipos de traducción aquí al lado izquierdo, así que este es el lado correcto para que ustedes salgan, y los que no requirieron el equipo de traducción pueden salir por el lado de la derecha. Bueno, y para que sigan disfrutando al máximo de esta experiencia del Pabellón del Conocimiento de INEXMODA 2025, les tengo dos recomendaciones imperdibles. La primera es que no dejen de probar el delicioso café de Rigo, el exquisito café de Urrao, traído especialmente a COLOMBIATEX por parte de INEXMODA. Lo pueden probar aquí en el cubo amarillo ubicado en la parte de atrás del pabellón. Y además quiero invitarlos para que visiten Casa Rigo Cycling Resort, que está ubicada en el nivel superior del cubo amarillo. Es un espacio acogedor diseñado especialmente para recibirlos y conversar de negocios en un ambiente único con la calidez que caracteriza a Rigo. En 20 minutos daremos inicio a la próxima conferencia.